Okay guys, and welcome back to this second video on where we're going to look into the state of decentralized finance today. To get a really good look of what is happening in the decentralized financial space, the best way we can do that is to look at on-chain data. So let's have a look together. Let's have a look at the data. Let's have a look at all the different data sets and all the different data that we can analyze. The best portal that I also used in Decentralized Finance 101 is Aleto.io. And an interesting announcement that I want to make is that Aleto.io has actually been acquired by ConsenSys. So ConsenSys actually bought this company, and they're now creating also WebSockets for enterprise users. So this is a really interesting development, which we're going to discuss more later on in the course. All right, so if we look at on-chain data, Aleto has this really amazing dashboard. So we can actually go here to our DeFi dashboard, and we can start and look to the ecosystem. We can start see what actually happened. And because we in decentralized finance, not only the news or only the financial regulators that we need to follow, but we can actually look at the data. We can exactly see what's going on and what's happening today in the ecosystem. So as we see before, it's not been updated for some time. I see. Yeah, here you go. And what we see here is that like the ecosystem has kind of had a bit of an issue. We can see that here in the big drop during the Black Thursday outage that we're going to discuss later on in the course. And we can look at this data. And I would all recommend everybody to visit the DeFi dashboard from the Aleto portal and look at all the different data that you need. And also when we start yield hacking later on in the course, it's really important to look at all these different metrics. So you can see here, there's a lot of different data points that we can analyze, watch, and go much deeper into. Also, the Aleto tool also allows you to make your own data sets. And we're going to discuss that also later in the course. All right, so like data is king, as I described. It's really important to look at all the different data sets to see all the different movements in the space. This data dashboard, where you see the evolution of DeFi platforms, it's important to see what is happening. And we saw a big shift from single collateralized DAI to multi-collateralized DAI. And yeah, we can see that in the data happening. And we're going to discuss later exactly what happened there. One important thing that I want to press and I want to discuss is also that if you look into the data, we see a little bit of a worrying point. We can see that right now on Compound, DYDX, the other DEXs or the MakerDAO CDPs, we can see that there is a couple of whales that are basically determining the market, that are basically ruling the market today. And that's a little bit concerning. But in order for us to solve this, in order for us to move forward to the next hyperbolic phase in decentralized finance, in order for us to really go to the moon, we need to also attract different asset types into the DeFi ecosystem. And this will be discussed in depth later on in the course, but it's really important to already look at this data and actually come to this conclusion, because you can see. And also, after the DeFi 101 course, a lot of people were asking me, well, why? Who's borrowing that money? Who's using that for arbitrage? Well, the big whales, the big chunks of smart money are doing that. So you can see here that basically the top 10 has like 80% of the borrowing market, and that's yeah, it's very worrisome, and that kind of needs to change. So that's something you need to be aware of. So yes, DeFi has a lot of opportunities, a lot of yield opportunities, but it also has some risk, and the risk is that we are just too depending on some big whales that are determining the market. All right, so also a very interesting report that I want to discuss with you guys is the Q1 DeFi report from the Atleo Analytics team. In this report, you can basically really see in depth, which conclusion you can also take if you go to the portals yourself. You can really see what's going on in the decentralized financial ecosystem, and they analyze it really more in depth. So you can see here the ETH locked in DeFi from 2018 to 2020. There's a really nice parabolic rise here, and you can see here the shift from single collateralized DAI to multi-collateralized DAI, where single collateralized DAI is the big blue chunk in the graph, and the multi-collateralized DAI is the darker blue graph here. And then if we look a bit closer to what happened, we can see some major events in DeFi that we can actually clearly see in data. We can see the first BZX incident. We will discuss it. Basically, this happened because there were some hackers were using flash loans. Well, hackers or people that were just exploiting the system were using flash loans to drain the BZX wallets, and a lot of people were using BZX. And yeah, you can see here a first bump downwards trend started, and then at the second BZX hacks was a big downtrend going on because yeah, there was a big chunk of money stolen out of the DeFi markets. And yeah, at Black Thursday, not that much happened, but you can see an up and down in the market, and there's a little bit of a downward trend, which is actually, as of today, picking up again. That's good to see. And yeah, we can see that in the 30th of January, the greatest amount of Ether was locked. 3.1 million Ether was locked in decentralized finance since the launch of Ethereum. So that's a really big milestone, and I think, I do a prediction here, I think within probably 3 to 4 months, we will see another all-time high in locked up ETH and in decentralized finance. You can see that here. And also, yeah, this graph is very nice. This basically user interaction with different DeFi protocols. We also discussed this in DeFi 101, but you can see here all the different protocols, the Uniswap usage, Kyber network usage, Compound usage. You can all see that here in the data. Let's look closer into the data here. We're going to do that later, but here you can also see that data plotted with the whales. So you can see like the different whale movements in these data sets. You can see a token set is slowly picking up. It's still very small, but it actually grew very much lately. Compound has grown. And actually now, and that's not on this graph, there's some new players like Ren, Centrifuge, and other players that entered the market already within the last week that this course was made. Yeah, and we can see here the user platforms from January until March, and you can really see the movement in different throughout different ecosystems. It's like really a moving, like it's like a living financial organism, and that's really exciting. Yeah, and there's more in-depth data that you can actually analyze throughout this presentation, but we're gonna discuss that later in the course. Before we're gonna discuss Black Thursday and a little bit of the more bearish events that happened in decentralized finance, it's important to understand the shift that has been made from single collateralized DAI to multi-collateralized DAI, because this shift that's been made will show an underlying issue in the decentralized financial markets. So yeah, what basically happened in the single collateralized DAI market is that the shift has been made from synthetic dollar. DAI is the synthetic dollar, as you guys know, and we shifted from a single collateralized synthetic dollar to a multi-collateralized synthetic dollar, which will harden and make our ecosystem overall much stronger, right? And because of the now more maturing multi-collateralized DAI, if there's another system shock like we saw on Black Thursday, the system will absorb these shocks much better. And what happened is that there was an emergency shutdown triggered for single collateralized DAI, and they had to redeem the Ethereum. Size shutdown was planned and open to voting since early 2019. Even as most users believe it to be a well-functioning system, but MakerDAO's 4 million setback in March during Black Thursday was done because of the 0-bit auctions that happened, that we'll discuss later. Really made it clear for the foundation that something needed to change, and that they had to let go of the single collateralized DAI because they really need to 100% focus on multi-collateralized DAI. And as of today, all remaining single collateralized DAI tokens were converted into ETH. So you have this synthetic dollar token, and then they shut that down, and it's converted into ETH. And the people that still have Sai can redeem the Sai tokens for ETH in a period of time. That period of time is now being closed, so that was until the 12th of May. If you do it after the 12th of May, there's a big pool of ETH that you can pool the equivalent amount of Sai to ETH out of. And like I did this, you can see that here. So I also had some older CDPs I had open on single collateralized DAI, and I actually redeemed it, and I made a small profit on it because it's just ETH. So they just transferred the Sai after 12th of May. They just transferred it to ETH. So there was no peg anymore to a synthetic dollar. The peg is gone, and so it's just a pool of ETH that's sitting there, and people want to shift their Sai to ETH, and they can just pull it out of it. Which is interesting because ETH price went up, meaning that the Sai value just went up. So if you still have a single collateralized DAI CDP, and if you liquidate it and you redeem your underlying, you will actually get more value out of it as of today. Yeah, so there were basically like some mixed reactions on shutting down the single collateralized DAI, which is funny. It's like just human behavior and emotions mixed into that, which is also seen in the whole Bitcoin debate, etc. It's really interesting to follow and see the reaction of people to that. It didn't go too toxic, so it was all kind of friendly because it's all planned. People knew that this was coming. It was all planned. It was all voted for, but still some people were not really happy with it. So some people, as you see here in this Reddit thread that I linked also in the description below, they don't see the point of closing this successful project. DAI and Sai could have been lived side by side. Multiple and single collateralized DAI could have been lived side by side, so that people could choose to have a single collateralized dollar and a multi-collateralized dollar. And there's people that saying there's no point in maker holders wasting resources. Yeah, so I agree with this. There's no point of really maintaining such a peg, because it would be much better for the overall ecosystem if we get the multi-collateralized DAI up, and if we can have real-world assets on blockchain also embedded into this MakerDAO and this synthetic dollar ecosystem. It would be very interesting to see. It was a little bit of an emotional moment, but it had to happen. All right, so in the next slide, we're going to discuss more about the Black Thursday and what happened. And in the links below, you can see a lot of different articles that I picked for you guys to dive deeper on your own terms into these topics. And as you can see, a lot has happened already so far in 2020. This list only goes to April, so it's to March. It's insane. Like, so we had so much things happening already. And we had the crazy Russians babysit of $2.5 million, but nothing happened. Everything went well. We had the Curve Finance also was almost hacked by Russians. And then we had two big hacks. BZX was hacked for, but only around $1 million. So it's not that much. We had some users exploiting different contracts, but mostly there were no losses. So we are still very, very early on in this decentralized financial ecosystem. And we're also actually very lucky. So count your blessings and let's move forward, learn from this, and let's dive a little bit deeper into this, into the situations that happened, and see what we can improve. All right. So again, please discuss any questions you have on the forum, and check the link out below. And I see you in the next video. Thank you.